heard of 13th Floor Entertainment Group? You're about to. This rapidly growing Colorado-based team has come onto the scene in a big way and is now recognized as the world's largest Halloween-themed entertainment company. With more than 15 iconic haunts in premier markets across the U.S. They also produce and own live touring events and year-round attractions, taking the industry by storm. Their latest acquisition brings them into the Southern California market with the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride, which is brand new for 2019 under the creative direction of the one and only John Cook. We're thrilled to welcome 13th Floor to Southern California. So let's give it up for your host and moderator for this panel, writer and director of Plague Productions, Ted Doherty.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Wow. Crazy. Hi, welcome. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. This is so cool. Hey, you know what? Before we begin, by show of hands, who here has been to the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride?
Not me.
Nice. Another question. Who here is going to the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride? Nice. My name is Ted Doherty, writer and director at Plague Productions. You might be familiar with some of the companies Plague Productions has worked with. Any fans of Not Scary Farm?
Yeah!
Did anybody go last year to Queen Mary's Dark Harbor?
No!
Nice. Well, we're about to find out what happens when we help reimagine an event in its entirety. We are so happy to finally be able to share some details on what aims to be Plague Productions' most prominent scope of work, the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride. So, before we kind of dive into things, there's some story. There's some backstory we want to share with you, kind of help explain what we've been working on and who we have been working with. There's lots of moving puzzle pieces here because the LA Haunted Hayride does have new owners we want to introduce to you. So we're going to lay down some of that groundwork and then we'll get into some details on what people can expect to see at the event this year. Sound okay? Yeah. Okay, listen. Just one quiet little side note, just between us friends here. I've been involved with this industry for many, many years. Maybe longer than some of you have even been alive, which is terrible to think about. Yeah. But please believe me when I tell you that the new owners for the LA Haunted Hayride, the company that Plague Productions has teamed up with, these guys are no joke. Who are they? Well, they only happen to be the largest Halloween-themed entertainment company in the world. 15 major Halloween events spread throughout our country, and the LA Haunted Hayride is their first event in California, based at a Denver, Colorado 13th Floor Entertainment Group. They've produced some of the most mind-blowing and detailed haunted attractions anywhere, and they have hired Plague Productions to not only help produce, but to creatively reimagine the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride. So, let's take a moment and take a look at some of the things 13th Floor Entertainment Group has produced, and we'll get to know these guys a little bit better. So, let's go ahead and roll that first video. Well, that's just a small taste. Let's get to know these guys a little bit more. 13th Floor Entertainment Group co-founders, CEO Chris Stafford and Director of Operations Warren Kennard. Please give them a warm Southern California welcome.
How's everyone doing? So I'm going to jump right in and say I am completely blown away by the atmosphere at this show and the amount of enthusiasts that are here. It's like nothing I've ever seen. It's pretty amazing, guys. So.
I love it. Welcome to Midsummer Street, guys. Cool. Well, I would like to allow my friends out here to get to know you guys a little bit, and vice versa, really. So can each of you guys talk a little bit about how long you've been in the industry and how you really kind of grown up in it?
Yeah, actually, as our company's grown, probably one of the biggest misconceptions about us is that we were business guys that got into haunted houses, and that's actually completely the opposite. Warren and I actually met working at a haunted house when we were 15 years old in Denver. So in one way or another, we've been involved in this business ever since we were teenagers, and that's how we originally met.
I love it. Warren?
Yeah, when Chris and I were young, when we started working at the haunted house, we didn't even know each other. We crossed paths. We came into that haunted house through different channels, and growing up through the 90s, when there were 20 haunted houses in Denver, not only did we work in the haunted houses, we went to every haunted house in Denver every year, and we're enthusiasts. You know, we go to Monster Palooza every year. We just enjoy it. And back in the early 2000s, we thought, you know, we want to do this, but on a bigger scale. We want to do something, you know, we want rooms to look like this, and we want these effects to do that. So in 2002, we just decided to break away and start our own haunted house company. And we did that, and it's grown every year, and we enjoy it every day. We're fortunate to have jobs, and jobs that we love.
Love it. That was going to be kind of my question on what the genesis of 13th Floor Entertainment Group was. Now, how would you guys define the 13th Floor Entertainment Group mission statement in terms of haunted attraction production and presentation?
You know, I'm going to keep it real simple. We want to build cool shit that people want to see.
Yeah!
I love it. Now, several of your haunts are standalone attractions. Well, you have other events like the LA Haunted Hayride, which I would define more as a screen park, multiple attractions at one location, but not a theme park per se. So let's learn a little bit more about the LA Haunted Hayride and its connections to 13th Floor Entertainment Group and Play Productions. So let's bring out LA Haunted Hayride founder and producer Melissa Carbone and creative director and owner of Plague Productions, Mr. John Cook.
Hi. Are they here for the free tickets later? Or
Yeah!
I have no shame. I ain't
Hi guys. You know, the LA Haunted Hayride celebrated its 10th anniversary this past season. Melissa, can you talk a little bit about how the LA Haunted Hayride began and how it's really kind of grown throughout the years?
Yeah, absolutely. I know 10 years is kind of unbelievable. I even saying it sounds crazy to me. But yeah, you know, the LA Haunted Hayride started in a super organic way, and people have probably heard me say this a few times, but I was a home haunter, right, in this little like soccer mom USA neighborhood in Westwood, California. Didn't know what a home haunter was though, by the way. I just was one. Somebody told me one day, oh, I think you're a home haunter. I was like, what is that? Sounds kind of nerdy, but okay, maybe I'm a home haunter. So I was just creating these big displays in my yard year after year, and they were just getting bigger and bigger until one day I had a bunch of friends. We were having a Halloween party at the same time, and I looked in my front yard, and there were like 200 people like canoodling in my front yard with like drinks, and like all the soccer moms had come up. And I was like, what is this weird Halloween thing? Like, this is so weird. People are into it. And I started doing the research behind it. And at the time, it was a $6.5 billion industry. And the light bulb kind of went off that this was a big town you know, that was, I thought, underserved at the time for Halloween things to do, because this was in 2008. I think there were really only like 4 things to do. It was like Universal Knots, Queen Mary, maybe that was it, Six Flags. But so, you know, being from New England, my favorite thing to do around the Halloween holiday was go on haunted hayrides, which were a huge thing in New England. And they would just pack people, like lines. You'd wait in line for 2 hours. It was the greatest thing ever. And I always wanted something like that and felt like it was missing, and that could be the thing. Why not in this concrete jungle of LA take a bunch of Los Angelinos, stick them in the woods at night, and annihilate them, right? Yeah, so and there we have the hayride.
I love it. That's so cool.
And real quick, I think what's interesting, all of us coming from different avenues towards this event, that's what we all found the value in. Is like you're stepping out into the woods in the middle of LA, and it feels like you're in a small East Coast town. So that's really where we're all kind of steering this thing towards more and more, is really to lean into that atmosphere.
Totally. And as the LA Haunted Hayride continues to kind of grow and evolve, it connects with companies like 13th Floor Entertainment Group and Play Productions. So, John, can you talk a little bit about how we got involved? How did Play Productions connect with 13th Floor Entertainment Group and this project?
Actually, I'm gonna let Chris kick this one off, because it's kind of been we've both been on each other's radars for so long, and it's kind of all just kind of come together this year.
Yeah, I'd always heard about this mysterious John Cook, this rock star haunted house guy. I was just kind of like, I don't know about this guy, but
A little shady.
when we finally met and we got to sit down and talk, it was interesting. You know, I had been to several attractions that he had been involved in, and was talking about things, and I'm like, oh, I really like that. And he's like, yeah, I did that. And I was like, oh, I really like this other thing. He's like, yeah, that was mine too. You know, of course, I'm like, guys, maybe he's full of crap, but let me figure this out. But you know, after getting to know people that he knows and talk to a lot of people that he's worked with, you know, his background was impeccable and amazing and creative, and we just kind of became friendly and started talking about things. And then Melissa and I were talking about, you know, different directions for the hayride when we got involved together, and like, what can we do and what's next, and it was really kind of just a natural progression that we were able to get John involved.
And I don't think I've ever shared this, but 2 years ago, when we were going to Transworld, I remember me and my team, we were headed out there, and I was working on my computer, and I just created a file just called 13th Floor. I was like, I don't know what's going to go in it, but one day there's going to be something in there. And we went, and we've always looked up to 13th Floor as this huge company. We've done a lot of traveling through the band. We were able to see a lot of the property, and I was always totally blown away that they're producing these, like, in my opinion, Disney quality attractions out in the Midwest in these warehouses. And that's something that my team, we strive to be able to produce those things as well. So just kind of this really cool coming together to this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even take it back a little bit further. And you and I had the same discussion the first time. Melissa and I were introduced through a mutual friend, and I was out in LA, and we sat down and started talking about what it would look like if we brought things together, and it was kind of like you said earlier, we'd both been on each other's radars, but forever, but didn't make the connection. So it's pretty cool to see how it all connected up.
Well, that kind of brings everybody up to date as to how and why we're all up here. So now let's get into some of the juicy details on what people can expect to see at the event this year. You know, we were all very interested in creating a new story driven by character aspects involving interactivity, immersion, and a compelling story that will engage our guests. So how do we do that? We create a town, the town of Midnight Falls. So let's bring up that next video.
You're listening to MFA on Radio Midnight Falls. We are extremely excited you'll be joining us for the annual Halloween Festival. New for 1985, we'll have live entertainment, a hayride, and maybe a few frights, because it's always Halloween here in
represents small town USA. Kind of picture upper East Coast, breezy fall weather, chilly autumn nights, the leaves are changing color, traditional harvest time. But Midnight Falls is celebrating its 13th annual Halloween festival, and you are all invited. But you'll find that things are a little bit off. Because in Midnight Falls, it's always Halloween night. It's always celebrating its 13th annual Halloween festival. And it's always 1985. So just as with any kind of small town, things kind of revolve around the town square, right? And Midnight Falls is no different. This is where the heart of the Halloween festival is taking place, but things are offsetting. Things are weird, frightening, as if everything's caught in a bizarre and horrific episode of The Twilight Zone. And that all spreads out to the surrounding 4 main attractions that we'll get into, because everything at the event ties back to the terrifying secrets and story of Midnight Falls, especially its residents. So John, or all of us, let's talk a little bit about what people can expect when they arrive to the event and what they might expect to experience inside the town square.
So the town square is the epicenter. This is where the celebration is happening. So like Ted was saying, the 4 surrounding attractions all feed back into this town. But at any time you can go out into the town square and celebrate and have fun with our characters. I don't know if anybody's had the chance to interact with our characters. If anybody's here, then we might have had a dance party with a werewolf and a mullet. Anybody? No? So the characters are the different creatures of the town. They represent the different attractions or different establishments that you can find throughout the town. And they're there to immerse you deeper into the story. So one of the things we want to do is to be able to go out, interact with them, and get clues that tie deeper and deeper into this mysterious town.
Exactly, and those roaming characters throughout the town square really kind of represent like the pantheon of gods for small town USA. We've got like the politician, the gossipy PTA soccer mom, the blue collar workers, the entitled football star and the cheerleader and the beauty queen. But these characters will be scary. But for those looking for a deeper experience, can engage these characters and learn about Midnight Falls and maybe about the residents and the town itself and maybe some of its secrets. So those are some of the things that people can experience inside the town square. As we mentioned earlier, there'll be 4 main attractions, 3 walkthroughs, and then the Hayride itself. The first walkthrough attraction we're going to talk about really kind of represents that dark and spooky house at the end of the street, standing there ominous. We know the kind, right? Strange noises are heard coming from inside late at night. The Midnight Falls neighbors are always complaining, wondering what in the heck is going on inside that house. And it does contain very dark secrets in the Midnight Mortuary. Let's talk about the Midnight Mortuary. Well, the idea behind it is it's been owned and operated for 75 years by the Marlowe family. And they're kind of weird, but the residents kind of tolerate them. What the residents don't know are the deep and dark, terrifying secrets deep inside this house, maybe responsible for some of the things going on in Midnight Falls.
Definitely responsible for some of the bodies turning up in their mortuary, right? Yeah. But what we wanted to do with these 4 attractions is, since there's only 4, we wanted to make sure they are all vastly in different feel. So this is our standard haunted house attraction where you're walking through. The whole thing's scenic out. We actually brought in a company you might have heard of, Sinister Point, to kind of help us with some of the production into this maze. So they're going to be coming out. We're going to be building an entire maze, ground up, subfloor and everything. And this is our more traditional haunted attraction.
Yeah, exactly. The genesis really was, we were just trying to say, all right, let's try to make like a haunted house, just a traditional haunted house. But then the deeper we got into the story of Midnight Falls, we're like, okay, let's try to make this fit in. And then nothing's really more macabre than a really evil type of mortuary, right? late at night. So.
Yeah, if any of you have been by the booth at the entryway of the show, it's funny if you're listening on to the radio announcements out there. The one that cracks me up is about Midnight Mortuary and going shopping there, which I thought was pretty.
Yeah, because within the story at the event, Midnight Mortuary is offering open house tours, so that way people can come and check out what they've got going on, and that's part of the fun in the Halloween festival. So our next walkthrough was really inspired by an attraction featured at the LA Haunted Hayride for several seasons, but now it has the Midnight Falls kind of twist to it. And the visitors attending this attraction will discover that the Midnight Falls residents have a disturbing way of taking in the spirit of Halloween in Trick or Treat. Melissa, can you talk a little bit about how Trick or Treat really kind of began? Because it really did capture such a fun spirit, a Halloween type of spirit.
It did. That was that suburban soccer mom neighborhood I had talked about. I talked about how we started the Hayride. It was this, for me, I loved the way it felt, right? Like I loved being in this neighborhood, and I loved the trick-or-treaters, and I just loved the vibe that was happening in town. So, I mean, probably 5 years after the Hayride started, maybe 6 years, we'd been playing with some other themes there. There was something called the Seven Sins Sideshow one year, and the House of the Horsemen. There were some different things that we were playing with. And we were sitting at a roundtable creative team meeting, and I think at one point we were out of ideas, and we couldn't think of something that just grabbed us. And I thought to myself, I think we're just overthinking this. Like, trick or treat. Like, let's let people trick or treat every day, all October long. And so it started there, and then I became like this freight train around, how to create this town around trick or treating, and how we could thematically, make each house different. We could make each inhabitant of the house different. We could create like an ambiance in the town with lots of pumpkins, and really make it feel like something that gave you the essence of Halloween outside of an attraction standpoint, but in the trick-or-treating kind of thing, right? So a Halloween attraction where you actually could trick-or-treat, to me sounded like something that would be fun and would make a lot of sense. And it's been a fan favorite ever since we did it. I don't think we could get rid of it now if we wanted to. So I'm excited to see Johnny's fresh take on it. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, going to the Hayride as a fan, I was always blown away that you always see something that you haven't experienced before. And Trick or Treat was always one of those things that was amazing to me. I'm like, how did nobody think of this before? It's so good. So when we decided we wanted to sit down, we put a lot of love into this one. It's a super fun attraction. We're building all brand new houses. They're all themed, and our twist on it is this is the house this is the neighborhood where the monsters live, but they're also celebrating Halloween. So these monsters are dressed up like other monsters. And all their houses are themed to the core monster, but they're decorated like the monster that they're portraying. So it's a really, really fun attraction that really captures the essence of Halloween. And I don't know if we have any home haunters in here. Anybody that does their own home haunt yard display? Well, we're huge fans of all the home haunts out there, so we wanted to pay a little homage where you can go and you're going to enter one of our houses through the garage and go through their home haunt. So super, super fun.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's definitely a tribute to our love of the home haunters. Now, on the outskirts of the Midnight Falls town square, there's like this kind of dingy farmhouse, but they are operating a business, and they're in the business of keeping the Midnight Falls highways and local interstate free from deceased vermin in the Roadkill Ranch.
This is where shit gets crazy. So when we went and visited the property, I've only been up there during the Hayride, but we went up and we're like, that's where that dark maze is? It's sketchy up there. So we really leaned into that, where you really feel like you're out in the woods, you're hearing stuff behind you coming out of the tree. So we wanted to create this open air experience where you're guided more through hay bales and corn stalks. There's a lot of walls and scenic work, but we wanted you to feel like you're truly out in the middle of nowhere. And then on top of that, we're unleashing, of course, a bunch of crazy roadkill attendants with chainsaws to be chasing you through the whole thing. So this is definitely like the heavy metal rock show of the entire experience.
Right, so far we've got the Midnight Falls Town Square celebrating the 13th annual Halloween Festival. We've got the dark and spooky house at the end of the street with the Midnight Mortuary. We've got the Midnight Falls neighbors out trick-or-treating, and then we've got the weirdos over at the Roadkill Ranch. So now we're at the main event, the hayride itself. And of course, Midnight Falls is offering fun hayrides underneath the moonlight and cruise the local foothills and celebrate Halloween. But of course, it's out there in that darkness. It's the epicenter on what's causing the evil in Midnight Falls. And the hayride experience really kind of begins out in the queuing area. And you're getting a taste of it right now out on the show floor for Midsummer Scream.
Yeah, so if anybody stopped by our booth, you've seen the gas station, as you can see here in your artwork as well. This is one of the actual set pieces that you will find out at the attraction. And this is where you're gonna board onto the hayride experience where you go out into the woods and what could go wrong, right? But also, we really wanted to really theme it out to really immerse you into the experience you're about to embark on. And we created different little vignettes to really set that up, including the radio station. And each attraction, I don't know if we mentioned this, each attraction you will hear that radio station playing that always ties everything back to centralize it to Midnight Falls. The voice might sound familiar, Ted, right?
Me.
So, you get to go and you get to see the radio broadcast as he's giving his spiel, as well as some other fun vignettes throughout the area to get you ready for your hayride.
Yeah, so the whole idea is what he was saying. It was pretty much to kind of piggyback off that is there's clues throughout the entire event that will be providing information on what the heck is going on within this town. And so you'll be able to check out all of the radio broadcasts and be able to hear what's going on. And the idea is by the end of the night, after you've gone through all the attractions and spent the time, your evening there, you'll get an idea of what is wrong with Midnight Falls. And so here's some other photos and some behind the scenes work of the gas station. And
when you go out and visit the booth, come by and say hi, of course, but also take a deep look at the scenic work that my team's doing. It's incredible the amount of love and passion and detail that they're putting into these sets.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything's being built off site right now because, well, it's Griffith Park. It's a regular park. People are hanging out and taking their kids, having picnics and stuff, so.
You can go do some foam chainsaw carving out there, I'm sure, right?
Probably.
Yeah. But in this picture, we wanted to show you too some of the scale of the monsters that we're building. We're big fans of monsters and the old 80s monster movies, hence why it's set in the 80s. So we're really going over the top of some of these large monsters that are going to come to life out in the woods.
Yeah, and just to kind of really piggyback off of what Chris was saying before, I mean, it's really important to note that, I mean, even though we're up here making this presentation, we are standing on the shoulders of an incredible team of people that are helping bring this to life. I mean, we've got some of the best people in the business, from carpenters to technicians, prop people, audio people, makeup, wardrobe, on and on, some of the best producers in the business. So a huge shout out and thank you for all of your guys' hard work, because it's really amazing. That pretty much is getting close to what we've got prepared. If we've got any time, I can't really see how much time we've got left. Does anybody have any questions? We can open things up for any questions. Over here.
No announcements today. But no, I mean, listen, when Melissa and I first started talking, I mean, she definitely has vision to grow the hayride and bring it to other markets. And I think the camp out was like a pretty amazing thing that happened out here. So we've talked about it. I guess that's about as far as I go right now.
Real quick, as a note, back in the day, when they first launched the camp out, that's where we met. I worked as an actor for the Great Horror Campout. I was a chupacabra. And I will say my favorite moment I've ever had scaring was going out at 3 in the morning and just dragging people out of their tents.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome.
I think that's how I met Lorenzo, if you're in here. But anyways, I personally, Chris, would love to take a crack at the campout. I think and once again, it's an amazing, unique experience that Melissa and their team put together, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to bring back. No pressure.
Any other questions over there?
As you guys are coming together as one for pretty much like the first time collaborating, what do you guys see in about the next 5 years?
I hope I'm not dead by then. I hope this year doesn't kill me if I'm dead by then. Yeah, 5 years, what do you think?
I mean, in the next 5 years is a long time. I think in the next 5 years, we can probably count on, the Hayride just continuing to get a lot of investment in the brand here in LA and, other markets as well. I can honestly tell you that, seeing every single year of the Hayride since its inception, this year I'm especially excited. We thematically change the Hayride every year, but this year it's the level at which it's being reimagined and refreshed is bigger than we've ever seen, bigger than you guys have ever seen. And I think anything after 10 years kind of needs a new, fresh kind of set of eyes to go on it. And Johnny has done an insane job of kind of taking this environment, keeping it very on brand, but bringing it to the next level. So 5 years, I can hope it just keeps going that way, but I'm excited about this year. I think this year is going to be our next level.
Yeah.
I think for the company, to Ted's point, I mean, some amazing people we've been working with out here, and our company's grown. It's going to continue to grow, and I'm happy to be able to kind of create like a really big sandbox for John and his team to play in. So I think there could be a lot of cool things that happen in the next 5 years.
Awesome. Anybody else? Any other questions over here?
Piggyback off the previous question. After one production event, you started doing some year-round events, and I know 13th floor will also doing year-round events. Any chance of us having year-round events in Southern California, such as the movie night coming back also, or something else that's year-round?
I mean, we were just talking backstage saying that we would love the movie nights to come back. So, I think that's definitely a possibility.
I like to do anything that gets Halloween outside of Halloween, right?
Yeah.
So if we can figure it out, I think we'd like to do some cool stuff here as well.
Awesome. Another question over here?
There's a ton of people here, and obviously, as evidenced by this show, a lot of fans. So I think we'd be silly not to be looking at other opportunities and thinking about what else we could do out here. I mean, the Hayride's a monster, but it's also a monster to set up and tear down in a very short window of time. So it would be nice to have something else to experiment with out here. Where we might be able to do year-round events and do different things. So, we'll see what happens.
Anybody else? There's one back there.
So, will there be any references to previous years for the Haunted Hayride, and for John, are you going to make any references to your past work at Knott's Berry Farm?
There won't be any Knott's Berry Farm references here. I don't know how they'd feel about that. But like I said, we have visited the Hayride multiple times. We're big fans of it. We think it's very innovative and very creative. So we have definitely kept around some of the things that we really loved and appreciated, and tried to build on top of some of those things.
Yeah, I think there's some it's pretty good. Harmony made fun of Ty. He's out there, and Warren, and so I think it's pretty cool to hide little things in there. I think you'll see a lot of that this year. maybe not references to past work as much as just kind of hidden Easter eggs along the way.
Yeah, I think it's completely riddled with fun Easter eggs that we planted in there.
Absolutely, a ton throughout the whole event, through the attractions and even the radio station and all that stuff too. Any other questions? There's one right here.
Are you guys gonna have more interactive things? I'm talking about 1 year.
Santa Claus with bubbles. Doesn't sound that.
I mean, yeah, there's interactive elements, and I think they're fun. It's like I don't want to ruin. I don't appreciate going out to an event and completely being drenched in anything. So I don't think we're gonna stay within that a little bit. But yeah, there are definitely some interactive elements. And if you want, just let us know when you come in. We'll get some bubbles out. There's a lot of ponchos you went through, right?
We went through 60,000 tachos that year. Yeah. And it was a giant Santa who busted out of an advent calendar and annihilated you with a snow cannon.
Something wet, that was it, right? Yeah, I think, those of you that have visited the booth downstairs and you've just been able to interact with some of the actors that are down there, I think kind of shows you a little bit of the vibe we're going for, right? Where the characters will definitely be a lot more interactive altogether.
Yeah, totally. So that's what I was going to say. Yeah, is the bulk of the interactivity is really going to be revolving around the characters, especially those in the town square area. Another question over there.
I know a couple years ago, you had a stop in the middle of the year, right? Kind of like a little mini stuff. Are you going to do that again? Or something you're thinking about?
Well, whatever, right? Bring that. Anyways, yes and no. You're not going to stop in the middle of it, but we are going to have the hayride conveniently break down, and the only exit to get out is through the vampire 80s party at the cemetery.
Awesome.
Maybe you want to talk about the logistics of
Yeah, it's, logistically that, and it kind of goes, like some people love it, some people don't, but logistically, I think stopping in the middle of the hayride, getting people off and then getting them queued back up to get back on, it is not ideal. It's not, and some people just want to stay, seated. It's like the magic of the hayride is that you're in the environment of the hayride. So it was fun for a couple years, but I think logistically it doesn't make like a ton of sense. I don't think that getting off just to get back on is kind of worth the 10-minute hike that you take through the cornfield. So I think this is going to be kind of a better way to do it.
Yeah, that was something that we really enjoyed as well as getting off. We thought it was fun, but same thing, logistically it's a little tough. So that's one of a good example of something that we wanted to keep and hold on to and just kind of relaunch that idea.
right there.
Since some of us fans are getting a little older and no not to push this, are we sitting flat on the hay, or are we gonna have hay bales to sit on this year?
Warren?
Good question. One thing that we're doing this year, the trailers are being replaced. Some of them are coming over from the New York on Hayride via Nashville. But we are looking to take a closer look at the number of people that fit on each trailer and have a better customer experience sitting there. Because there's not the tall scenic work and the limited amount of time to load in, we do want to keep people as low as possible so they have a better experience. So they'll probably still be sitting low, but we're also looking at replacing the straw with grass hay and a few things to make it a better customer experience while you're sitting and riding as well.
Awesome.
Right there, right here, right there, right there, right there.
I love that you mentioned the radio show, but what is another example of a small detail that you have included to have such immersion in the event?
the characters, very much so. They'll be giving you clues as to what's going on, and then a lot of the set pieces throughout are going to be providing some additional information.
Yeah, everything's tied to each other. Everything is done with intent. So the Midnight Mortuary is going to tie into Trick or Treat, and the Hayride, is going to tell the story of what's going on in the entire town. So everything is tied together to really create that immersion.
Okay.
Now that it's your 10th year, what technology has made life easier since you've progressed in progress?
It'll be the 11th year. Last year was 10th, but let's talk about technology.
Well, talking about that's a really good question. I don't even know that I've actually thought about that. But I think we've had a lot of new. This year we just started doing photo booth things that obviously it's all about the photo op these days. So there's that. That's part of the Hayride this year, and I think that's been fun and useful from a social environment, from a marketing environment, and getting people to kind of talk the good word of the Hayride. So things like that are cool. But one of the things about the Hayride in the past 10 years is that it's not very technologically robust, and by design, because we are out in the woods. And I think from my perspective, the objective has always been to give people like the best cerebral experience that they can have. So it's from the second they get there to the second they leave, they're always submerged in the experience. It's like, there's other places and I love them, but you come out of a maze and you have to walk by SpongeBob SquarePants and The Simpsons to get to the next attraction, and it just in a cerebral way takes you out of Halloween. So for me, it was, the Hayride, I think, is where it is a continuous Halloween experience from the moment you get there to the moment you leave. From the orange glow coming out of the trees, and the dew and the fog in the air. So I think that's kind of been the nucleus of the experience, not like an advanced technological, gain year over year.
Yeah, I want to add to that. To Melissa's credit, the atmosphere that's created out there. When you talk about technology in a lot of our indoor attractions, we use a lot of technology to try to suspend disbelief and to make the attraction better. But I remember the first year I went to the Hayride, and I walked up and I came out here and said, let's see what this thing's all about. I walked up and I remember walking up and seeing the orange glow in the fog, which is as a lot of us know here, is pretty simple in a way to do, maybe not on as large of a scale, and just going, wow, like the atmosphere here. Going back to the beginning of the conversation, we all of us felt like when you go to the Hayride, you're being transported to another place, and just, I don't know how you compete with Mother Nature, to Melissa's point, no SpongeBob in the woods, so it's pretty cool.
But just in case our tech guys in here, we are bringing some cool stuff.
Very cool tech.
Yeah, very. It's the best tech we can do in 12 days of stuff.
Awesome. Any other questions right here?
I just want to say, all the attractions sound fantastic. I'm sure they're going to be great. But which attraction or each one of you would be
That's a tough one. You want to go first?
I hope so. I'm excited about Trick or Treat. I grew up working on a farm, so I love the equipment, I love the Hayride, I love the environment, but part of what makes me feel good is feeling like a kid again. And the Trick or Treat experience, going through it a couple of times, it took me maybe going to the Hayride the first time to really get to understand it. And last year being out and being around Trick or Treat and seeing people laugh and they're happy, just because it's a kind of a goofy idea and everybody takes something away from it, trick or treating. I'm excited about that, the way that John and his guys have reimagined it, and seeing some of the facades. It's awesome.
I'm excited for the Hayride. It's the only hayride, you know. So experience something unique like that, and to see what John and his team are going to do, and as they re-envision that and make it different than it has been. You know, I'm excited to see that the most.
Definitely the hayride. It's always the thing that I'm the most excited to see, and it's the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride. So, hayride.
I think I'm just excited to be able to hang out in the town square and see all the characters running around. We're gonna have a cool trailer stage, some entertainment out there. Just be able to really live in that environment, I think, is kind of what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's tough because each one of these are kind of like our kids, right? So who's best, right? But
I will echo real quick on trick or treat. I do also my first trip to the hayride, and I went for trick or treat, and it was like, come on, you go. Oh my god! Why didn't anybody think of this before? So I wanted to go back to that. It was pretty creative for that time. Simple but creative.
right, yeah. For me, I'm looking forward to Town Square and just the event as a whole. Really, I think since I kind of look at the whole thing as just one big story that's being told. Any more questions? Right there.
In terms of crowd and capacity, do you hope that people will be able to make it through all 4 attractions in one night, or is there like you have to visit multiple times?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the nature of the business is these attractions have become more and more popular, is that it does get difficult to do that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And we have launched other ticket options to enable people to be able to do that, and I think that's pretty common out here. It's common everywhere. But I don't know, I mean, I always tell people, like, I don't know why everybody comes on Friday and Saturday. You know, it's like, you come on a Thursday, you come on a Sunday, you know, and I think you can definitely do it on those nights.
Maybe even have a Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, John was, what's that? No, listen, I've been in this business a long time, and standing there talking to customers that are upset because everything's so busy, and I'm like, yeah, everybody has jobs, everybody has to come on the weekends. It doesn't matter, you know, what we do, but that is a secret that shouldn't be told.
But to that point, the attractions are being designed like all the attractions we do, so we're trying to keep it very efficient.
You guys are kind of Peter McCobb, and that's always a really fun interactive side show. Is that going to be around the hayride?
No. Sorry. Something new and different.
We do have something very, very fun planned for the on-stage entertainment. Yes.
Anything else? And we're going to try to arrange things, if possible, within the footprint so that you guys can enjoy some of that from the line as well.
Exactly. Very much so. Way there in the back.
Yeah! Somebody had to
Is
say
this
it.
about the fog juice thing again, taking the foggy's fog? Yes, so thank you for sitting through our timeshare presentation.
We were not above bribing you guys to be here, but on a serious note, no, I mean, we're just really excited. We want everybody here to see it. You know, we want everybody here to know that, you know, these guys are breaking their backs, getting this thing ready for you guys to see, and like Melissa said earlier, it's been the biggest investment, into the hayride in a long time, to kind of revamp and reignite some things, and in the case of Trick or Treat, bring back some fan favorites with new twists, and we were excited for y'all to see it. And that being said, everybody in the room is going to get a free general admission ticket to come out.
Yeah!
There is some technology involved, so I would recommend you get out your cell phones here pretty soon.
Oh, no. My phone's on the stream.
I have no service.
Time for 2 more questions while you're getting on your cell phones.
Yeah, we'll give you guys time to get your phones out, but
Got one there. One over there, okay.
Probably a question for John, but designing a haunted hayride is a little bit different than designing a maze, some stuff. So what perspective or change has you taken in designing for both the story presentation and the scares for a hayride versus a walk-through pedestrian maze, especially with the logistics and the safety issues and things?
Alright guys, we're gonna log off.
How is it
We do get a
different
free
designing
ticket
for
for
the
the
Hayride,
event.
which has these big
So
sets and all that
I
stuff?
think right,
You
we
guys
might
are
try and
on my
obviously
phone.
the,
Thank you
the
everybody
goal
for
is to
coming.
scare. So we're looking at scaring instead of 1% at a time walking through a tight hallway. You have to scare a hayride full of X amount of people all at once. So just kind of re-looking at how to make those scares the most effective as possible. But also we're approaching this like a ride to make it entertaining, to make it cohesive from start to finish. So it's been different, but the same at the same time. But just making sure that we're approaching it more like a standard ride with scares built in, opposed to a walk-through attraction. And it's been fun and different as well.
Very much.
You wanna tell me?
One more question over there.
What if you don't have your cell phone on you?
If you don't have your cell phone on you, there's a gentleman in the back of the room. He's got his hand up right now. His name is Ty.
Tyrone.
Yeah, and we did plan for that to potentially happen. So if you don't have a cell phone, you visit Ty in the back. And there's a guy hidden in the light here that's been having his hand up.
Do you have any like closing ceremonies or any kind of like events that happen throughout the night planned for the event?
Closing ceremonies as we get to go home finally. Spray people with bubbles.
Okay, I think we're okay. I think we're good. So,
Bye, guys.
Oh, is there one more or somebody?
Thank you for
All right,
being on the
one last
stream.
one. Are we selling merch?
Hey guys, hey. So the service in here is pretty crazy. So it's pretty crazy. We're just gonna properly end this stream. Thank you everybody for jumping on here. You guys are awesome. We might go live again, so make sure you hit your bell notification.